Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Wednesday morning. We're back with another massive show to bring you guys today. But before we jump into that, if you are enjoying the content at the moment, please give the video a thumbs up, give it a like. Let's try and see 200 likes on today's video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. On the show today, we're going to be talking about Manchester United's pursuit of a new winger. In the summer window, this will be. This isn't a January deal, but there's a couple of names that we've been heavily linked to over the last 24 hours. So we'll be delving into that. I'll be giving my opinion, inviting you to give yours as always. We'll also be talking a bit about Karim Benzema. We've had a bit of an update on Karim Benzema's position in Saudi Arabia and whether he will actually be looking to move in the January window or not. Also talking about a shock bit of news that came out in the last couple of hours that apparently Manchester United are interested in doing a swap deal involving Mason Greenwood in exchange for Rafinha from Barcelona. Obviously, we spoke on the show last night that Barcelona are heavily interested in signing Greenwood, who's obviously on loan at Getafe in the La Liga at the moment. So we'll be talking about that. Lots of other bits to get into as always. And I invite you to have your say on all things Manchester United in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discuss on today's show. So without further ado, let's get straight on into it. We're going to start talking about the winger position. First of all, welcome to Comeback Kings, who has just joined the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you very much for your support, my friend. If you do want to join the Members Club, it's only 99p. Really helps, support the channel. Get a badge next to your name. Get a few other perks as well. I'm going to drop a link in the chat to do that. And if you are watching it back on repeat, I think you just hit the $sign and you can join. So I've just dropped a link in the chat. Welcome, Comeback Kings, to the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Right. Let's get a little poll going to get some interaction started on today's show. So it's going to be, what winger do you want in the summer? And we've got three options to discuss on this evening's show. This morning. So you've got Marcus Edwards, who we'll talk about in a minute, from Sporting Lisbon. I'll put the club names next to it for people who don't know who they are. So we've got Marcus Edwards. We have got Zirkzee, who I believe plays for, is it Bologna? Let's have a quick look. Joshua Zirkzee, he plays for Bologna. Yes, so Joshua Zirkzee, put him in. Anybody who's watching it back on repeat, you can get involved in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on who you think we should sign in the winger position in January. Other post in comments. Okay, cool. So we got four options. These are all players that we've been actively linked to in the last kind of 2 or 3 days, right? We've got Marcus Edwards from Sporting Lisbon. We'll talk about him in a minute. There's a story saying that apparently United are really scouting him and he's available for around 30 million euros in the summer. Marcus Edwards, for anybody who is unfamiliar with him, he is English, playing out in the Portuguese league, which is quite unusual for, an English player to leave the Premier League and move to Portugal. He plays for Sporting Lisbon, 25 years of age, started his career at Tottenham, I believe. He came from the Tottenham Youth Academy. He seems like a talented player. He's done pretty well in the Portuguese league so far this season. He's got 4 goals and 4 assists in 16 matches. So he's averaging a goal or an assist every other game at the moment in the Portuguese league. He's got a release clause of 60 million euros, which I think is a little bit steep personally. I don't think he's worth that. But apparently the story this morning is that Sporting Lisbon would listen to offers of around 30 million for Marcus Edwards. So yeah, I mean, that's one option, isn't it? I think he joined them for, it was only about 7 million euros that he joined for. So they would be making a massive amount of money already. He has been capped by England. He's played for the under-20s. He's never played above that level, having 8 appearances for England under-20. So he's a right winger, but can also play on the left and can also play as an attacking midfielder as well. I'll be honest with you guys, I think he'd be an interesting option for 30 million euros. I do. I think for 30 million euros, it's quite a safe bet. He had a very good season last year as well. He got 16 goals and assists in 33 games last season and got 2 goals and 2 assists in the Champions League as well. So he, on average, if you look at his stats over the last kind of 2 or 3 seasons, he's averaging a goal and an assist every single game. And that's either in the Champions League or in the Portuguese league. So, for people to say, oh, he's playing in a lesser league, he's not going to be able to do it in the Premier League. He has been doing it in the Champions League for Sporting Lisbon as well. So that's option one. and he's going to cost us around 30 million euros. Okay. So that's option one. Option two is Joshua Zirkzee. Now, Joshua Zirkzee is wanted by many, many clubs around Europe. That's the thing we have to be considerate about here, right? 22 years of age. He is Dutch international, which we know obviously Erik ten Hag seems to like the Dutch players. Lots and lots of clubs are interested in this guy, though. West Ham, Arsenal. He's had a really, really strong season so far. He's got nine goals and assists in 19 games so far. So just like Marcus Edwards, he's averaging a goal or an assist every other game at the moment, which is, I know people will say it's only Serie A, but for him to be doing that is really, really strong, I think. He can play as a centre-forward, a striker, or as a winger. I think he would be an interesting option. He's going to cost a hell of a lot more money, though. I think Bologna, his current club, are asking for around 50 million plus. So for me, maybe it'll be a little bit too much. And then the third option is Rafinha. Now, obviously, Rafinha, everybody knows who Rafinha is. Plays for Barcelona, was at Leeds, wasn't he? A little bit older than the other profile of players we've been discussing. 27 years of age. I think he's a good player. I don't know whether he's world class, personally. I think he's better than Antony, though, I'll say that. He moved to Barcelona 2 years ago for a fee of around 58 million euros. And the story this morning from multiple different sources is that apparently Ten Hag could ask for 3 Barcelona players in Mason Greenwood swap deal. The story says Manchester United could use Barcelona's interest in Mason Greenwood to bank more than just a transfer fee. It says the La Liga giants are believed to be keen on taking 22-year-old Mason Greenwood permanently in the summer window, which presents a rare opportunity for Erik ten Hag to get his hands on one of Barcelona's more desirable stars. It says United remain committed to offloading the academy graduate. So that's a really, really important bit to hear then for all of the people who are saying he's 100% going to come back and all the rest of it. The story this morning is that United are committed to getting rid of him at the moment, that is. It says Greenwood reportedly wants to move, which would take him back to the very top level after being shipped out of Old Trafford. It says that Barcelona have to be very careful with their spending, obviously due to financial issues, which everybody is fully aware of. Now, the 3 players that apparently Manchester United are circling around in some sort of exchange swap deal, maybe player plus cash kind of thing, is Araujo, obviously the defender, the centre-back. He's the captain of Barcelona. I don't personally see that one happening. I don't think Ronald Araujo will come to Manchester United. I think the amount of money it would take to bring him would be way more than what we'd get for Mason Greenwood. I think, Ronald Araujo, 24 years of age, one of the best centre-backs in world football. He's the Barcelona captain. I think they'd want the same amount of money we paid for Harry Maguire, 80 million plus, I think. And I don't think you'd be able to do a straight swap deal of Araujo for Mason Greenwood, personally. I just don't think that would ever happen. The other names that are being mentioned this morning is obviously Frankie de Jong, but we know Frankie de Jong doesn't want to come to Manchester United, so I think we can kind of put that one on the back burner. And then the other option is obviously Rafinha, which is who we've been speaking about on the show for quite some time now. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you have a specific preference on who you like, let me know. Give me your reasons. Me personally, I mean, I'll be honest with you, none of these names massively excite me, if I'm being completely honest. I think Marcus Edwards is an interesting profile of player. Obviously, he's very young. He, has played in the Premier League before. Maybe you go for him if it was a cheaper deal, 20-30 million. Rafinha, I think Rafinha is a good player, to be fair, and he has done it in the Premier League, obviously with Leeds, hasn't he? So I think, Rafinha is a solid option. And then obviously Zirkzee, I think Zirkzee's going to go to Arsenal personally. I just have this feeling that Arsenal are desperate to buy a striker. And we desperately need a winger. Because if you think about it logically, right, obviously the future for Ahmed and Pellistri is up in the air, I would say. Sancho's obviously going to leave in the summer. Mason Greenwood's most likely going to leave in the summer. Antony, 95% of the fan base don't want here anymore. When you look at it then, the only real people you have left, really, is Marcus Rashford, Garnacho. Some of you don't even want Rashford here either. So the only real winger who's cemented his place in that team at the moment is Garnacho, realistically. Rashford, most people don't want him playing. Antony, most people don't want him playing. You get where I'm going with this, We don't really have, a first team winger at the moment. Obviously, Antony was meant to be that person, but it just hasn't worked out for him at Manchester United. Now, I don't think Antony will be sold personally. I think it would be very, very strange for Manchester United to sell Antony, not because he's not good enough, but because of the financial implications of getting rid of Antony so early into his Manchester United career. We paid 100 million euros for him, and my understanding is that we're still paying off that transfer fee. As I've said to you on the show many, many times before, guys, like clubs do not usually pay 100% of the transfer fee up front. So if we were to now sell Antony for, say, 50 million, we would have we'd still be paying Ajax for the next however many years, and we'd have lost 45 million euros straight up. And then if you put that on your financial fair play books, like, it's going to be a really, really big problem. And if we're already doing that with people like Maguire, Sancho, all of these people who we spent way too much money on and we're selling for a massive loss, it's going to cause so many more issues with a financial fair play kind of standpoint. So I think Antony will be here next season. I can't see him going to Saudi. I could see it from the player's side, maybe him agreeing to it, but I just don't think Manchester United would be able to recoup the amount of money they would need to make the deal work on paper from a financial fair play perspective. Like, if we were to sell him now, and I'm not even trying to be funny here, we would need to sell him for like 70 million euros in order to make it worthwhile from a financial fair play point. Otherwise, we sell him, for half of the amount of money that we bought him for, and then it limits what we can then do in that window because we'd have a massive loss on our books. So I think he's going to stay. I think I think that is where we are, but I just don't think he'll get played as much. Comeback King says, what about Elise? Obviously, Elise is another option, of course. Yeah, Elise is a very, very strong option. I would like to see Elise at Manchester United, I think. He probably is my preferred option out of all of them. I think Michael Elise for 50 million, I think his release clause is. I think that would be the best value. Obviously, he's playing and succeeding in the in the Premier League right now. 22 years of age, had a really, really good season already. Had a good season last year. And I just like him. I just think he's very composed. I think he seems quite level-headed. I think he's going to end up at Liverpool, though. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that he's going to end up at Liverpool. Obviously, I would not be surprised at all if Salah goes to Saudi in the summer. I just have a feeling that, Saudi offered ridiculous money for Salah last year. I think he's got a year left of his contract. Liverpool probably will sell. Yeah, Salah's got 1 year left of his deal. So they will need to sell him in the summer. Otherwise, they'll lose him for free probably. So I imagine Salah will probably go to the Saudi League, and then Liverpool will have a massive amount of money to then go and spend on a new winger. And I think Elise could be that player. Obviously, at this moment in time, he's nowhere near the level of Salah, but he is only 22 and Salah is 31. So when you look at it like that, things can change quite quickly in football. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Where do you think Michael Elise will end up? What winger do you think we'll go for in the in the summer? Just to be clear, this is all the summer window. This isn't January. Like, I would be very surprised if any big deals happen in the January window. But we will talk about that now quickly. We'll talk a little bit about Karim Benzema. Everyone who's just joined the video, please do smash a like on the video. Let's try and hit 200 likes on today's show. Doesn't cost you any money. It's completely free. So yeah, please like the video now and let's see if we can hit our 200 likes target. Right. Over to Karim Benzema. There's a story that has come out this morning from French outlet L'Equipe, and they are reporting that if Karim Benzema leaves Al Ittihad, then Manchester United would be a viable option for him. I mean, I'm sure it would be a viable option for him, but the question is, do Manchester United have the money to be able to pay his astronomical wages? No. Do Manchester United, really need him? Realistically, does anybody really think we're going to get top four now? We're out of the Champions League. We're not in the Europa League. We're not in the League Cup. Yes, we're still in the FA Cup, but I'm not saying we should just throw the season away. But as it stands, we're 11 points off top four. 11. That would be the biggest comeback ever for us to make up a gap of 11 points. That would mean Aston Villa, who are sat in fourth, would have to lose or draw 3 or 4 games and we win almost every single game. It's not going to happen. When you look at our form of the last 5 games in the Premier League, we've won 1 game in the last 5. There's only 18 matches. So if we continue on the form we are at the moment, we'll probably only get about another 15 points or maybe 20 points on what we have now. We'll be somewhere around 50 points at the end of the season if we continue with the form that we're playing up until this point. And Aston Villa are already on 43 points. So, if we continue the way we're playing, I think we'll be lucky to finish in the top half of the table, to be completely honest with you. We're only 3 points above Wolves, who are 11th at the moment, and we play Wolves next in the Premier League away from home. I said this on the show a couple of days ago, right? If we were to lose against Wolves, I think it's next Thursday, we would be 11th in the Premier League. It could be as bad as about 16 points off the top four if we were to lose to Wolves next week. Wolves away from home, like, obviously we say, oh, we're Manchester United, blah, 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 but Wolves away, that's going to be a difficult game. They deserve to beat us when we played them at Old Trafford. They were the better team. And they're in good form, Wolves. They've got 3 wins in the last 5. We've got 1. Like, they've only lost 1 game in their last 5. We've drawn 2, lost 2, and won 1. So it's going to be very, very difficult. And the point I'm trying to make here is you bring in, what's he called? Karim Benzema. And is it going to make any difference? Really? We're not in the Champions League. We're not in the Europa League. We're probably not going to get top 4. So I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't really make any sense to me personally. I would love to see Benzema in a Manchester United shirt just for the nostalgia, because I like Karim Benzema. I think he's one of the best strikers of my lifetime. But from a looking at a big picture perspective, you're probably going to be spending, I mean, his wages at the moment, I think, are about, let me have a look. I looked before and it's absolutely ridiculous, his current wages. He's currently paid £172 million a year. 3.3 million a week he's paid at Al Ittihad. So he would have to take like the biggest wage reduction ever. I mean, even if we paid him 300 grand a week, that would be a hell of a lot of money for us to pay. And that's less than 10% of what he currently earns a week. Like, why would he do that? I know people will say, oh, he doesn't need the money. He's probably got hundreds of millions in the bank from his kind of playing career across his time at Real Madrid and all the rest of it. But still, like, if someone said to me, you could earn £3.3 million a week tax-free in Saudi, or you could move to the Premier League, play for Manchester United, probably earn about 300 to 500 grand a week. I'm pretty sure, well, it will be. You'll be in the highest tax bracket in the UK, which is about 50%. So even if we paid him £500,000 a week, he would only take home about 250 grand after tax. So you're going from 3.3 million a week tax-free to about 250 grand a week after tax in the UK. Like, why would he do that? And effectively to play for nothing. It's not like we're top of the Premier League. We're into the next round of the Champions League. We're in the FA Cup. We're in the League Cup, and he could win the quadruple. He's coming to Manchester United to battle for 6th to 10th place. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Do I think it will happen? No. I don't think it will happen. I think he's more likely to go to maybe somewhere in France, I think. Maybe PSG will come in for him. I did have a quick look at the odds this morning of, like, where he's most likely to go, because I don't actually bet much. Well, I don't bet at all really myself, but I do think it's quite interesting sometimes to look at what the bookies are saying, because, like, yeah, I just think it's an interesting way of trying to predict or have some sort of idea of how true stories are, because, you know, people will say, oh, he's going to come to Manchester United, and it's like, I don't think he will. But I think at the moment the favourites are Chelsea, which makes sense. Chelsea will throw that type of money at somebody. Chelsea are currently the favourites. I think Arsenal are second favourites. I mean, it makes sense for Arsenal. They're still in the Champions League. They're fighting for the title. They could actually win some trophies this season. Whereas us, yes, we could win the FA Cup still, but we're obviously not going to win the Premier League. We're most likely not going to finish in the top 4. Like, if we get knocked out of the FA Cup, ultimately our season is over, really, isn't it? And we'll just be battling for probably 5th or 6th, which in theory could get us Champions League if we finish 5th. But there's so many different factors that you have to consider to actually be able to get 5th as the new Champions League place. Like, I think, you know, one of the English clubs would have to win the Conference League, one would have to win the League Cup, one would have to win the Champions League. And is that going to happen? I don't know. It's too much of a risk. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about Karim Benzema. Willan says, we can bring in 10 strikers and none of them will score any goals playing with Rashford and McTominay. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I 100% agree. I think that's what I'm kind of getting at. Like, it's not like you bring Karim Benzema in and we suddenly turn into a different team. Like, it's just going to be the same, isn't it? It's, yeah. There's a story that's breaking in the last, literally in the last hour, saying that apparently Man United are trying to secure a new contract for McTominay. I mean, I would say this, right? That must be just to try and retain his value, surely. Surely they don't genuinely think McTominay's good enough to be part of this team. Surely this Omar Barada guy, who had Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, all of these other elite midfielders, doesn't genuinely look at this Manchester United side and think that Scott McTominay is good enough to compete against midfielders like that. He's not good enough to compete against probably Championship midfielders, let alone Premier League ones. So, yeah, I'm not going to get too worked up about this McTominay thing because I think at the moment, maybe they are just doing it to retain his value. I'm going to wrap up the video. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined me on the show this morning. I will be back at about 6 o'clock this evening. Please do me a favour and like the video before you go. Please subscribe if you're new. Doesn't cost any money. Get involved in the show. I will be back a bit later on. Have a good day, everybody. This has been Daily Red Devil, and I'll speak to you all this evening.